One of the biggest costs associated with getting a VA loan is the funding fee. Now, the VA loan is still the cheapest, most flexible, and best loan program out there, and it should be because it's designed to help our veterans and those of you who that have had military service. So, what is a funding fee, and how do you get it exempt? Or how do you not pay it? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with talking about what is a funding fee. So a funding fee is not mortgage insurance. So it's not like FHA. It's not like a conventional loan if you don't have 20% down. There isn't mortgage insurance on a VA loan, but there is a fee. And basically what it is a one-time fee that's a percentage of the loan amount that gets added to the loan amount when you get your VA loan. And then that money goes to protect taxpayers in case there's a default on a VA loan, and the VA has to make the lender whole. And that's essentially what it is. If you default, the VA pays the lender, and then that's what the guarantee is. So this was increased. This fee was actually increased in 2020, but it's being decreased on April 7th of 2023. If you haven't seen that video is right next to this one if you're on YouTube. But the VA funding fee was decreased, but we're going to talk about decreasing it to zero, because the only thing better than a discount is not having to pay it at all. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So this funding fee can be waived with a 10% disability rating. And a 10% disability rating is much more common than you would think. Now, it has to be a service-related disability, but hearing loss counts as 10% disability rating, and almost anybody that's gone through any sort of military training at all has been around firing ranges and artillery ranges, and probably suffers from some sort of hearing loss. And if you do, it's going to save you a ton of money. So let's take a look at it. So the VA does have a generally, they have a list of who is generally exempt from having to pay the funding fee. Again, many veterans are exempt from this. If you have hearing loss, it's just a minimum disability, and you can waive the entire fee. So how you determine whether or not that funding fee is going to be waived for you is you check your certificate of eligibility. You can do that yourself, or your loan officer can do it, and it should state on there what your status is for your exemption status if you have that disability. If you don't have that disability, we'll talk about that in a second. Because you can still get that, you can still register for the disability, and you can still get it reimbursed. So veterans receiving any sort of VA compensation for service-connected disability. So you are exempt from paying funding fees if you are receiving VA compensation for a service-connected disability. Now, these exemptions I've taken directly from the VA underwriting guideline. So this is directly from the underwriting guidelines. So the minimum 10% rating, disability rating, equals hearing loss. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's the easy one. Quite frankly, if you're a veteran, I know there's some paperwork involved, and I know the compensation isn't very much, and it's almost not worth it, but it is worth it. It could mean tens of thousands of dollars in funding fees when using your VA loan. So if you served or if you were around a lot of loud noises, heavy artillery, anything like that, I would recommend that you go to the doctor and see if you can get a disability rating. Okay, next one. You are eligible to receive, if you're eligible to receive VA compensation for service-connected disability, but you're receiving retirement or active duty pay instead. Even in that situation, if you were not receiving the disability income, but you are still eligible for disability income, then you could be exempt and not have to pay the funding fee. If you're receiving dependency and indemnity compensation, DIC compensation, as the surviving spouse of a veteran, then you could be exempt from paying the funding fee. That's an important one. Or if you're a service member who has received a proposed or memorandum rating before the loan closing date that says you're eligible to get compensation because of a pre-discharge claim. Okay, so if you've applied and you're not quite getting it yet, if you're a service member on active duty who before or on the loan closing date provides evidence of having received a Purple Heart. So if you're active duty and you have a Purple Heart, then you can get your funding fee waived. So you want to make sure that you bring that up. If you happen to be a Purple Heart recipient, bring that up at the time of your application, because even if you do not have a service-related disability because you're still active duty, then you can use that. That Purple Heart will get it waived for you. As an eligible veteran, you are exempt from the funding fee on all of the loans you obtain. So there's no limitation on how many funding fees that can be waived if you are eligible based on your disability rating or based on meeting the criteria that would allow you to have that funding fee waived. So you can use that as many times as you need to. It'll waive the first time funding fee, it'll waive the refinance funding fee, it'll waive the subsequent use funding fee. Now, this is where it gets exciting. So you may be eligible for a funding fee refund if you applied for a loan. So if you applied for a disability rating and the paperwork is done to apply for your disability rating, but in the meantime you don't have your rating by the time the close date on your loan happens, what you can do is you can then go to the RLC, the Regional Loan Center for the VA. You can contact them, let them know that your disability rating was being processed, and in the meantime you applied for the disability rating prior to the close of your home loan. Once you receive your disability, you can have your funding fee reimbursed back to you. The Regional Loan Center will cut you a check and return your funding fee to you. So again, let me explain this scenario. You apply for a home loan, you don't have a disability rating, so you've got a funding fee of 2.15% of your loan amount. It could be north of $10,000, right? That's a lot of money. And you have hearing loss, you have tinnitus from being around artillery being fired or whatever. So you apply for your loan and your loan's in process, but then you go to the doctor and you apply for hearing loss disability. If you get approved for the hearing loss disability and you submit your application to receive disability benefits, based on the doctor's recommendation that you're eligible for those benefits because of service-related hearing loss, well, it could take 6 months for that disability rating application to get approved. In the meantime, you close on the purchase of your new home, and let's say you shell out $10,000 in a funding fee. Well, as soon as you get your disability rating approved, you can take that documentation, take the closing statement from your house, take it to the VA, and they will write you a check and reimburse you for that funding fee. So that, again, just one more feature that is just evidence of how wonderful this VA loan program is and how flexible it is in its efforts to try to serve those that have served our country. Now, if you get a proposed memorandum rating, okay, this is what I just said, of your closing date, you'll still need to pay the funding fee. You can't get the funding fee until you actually get the disability. So just because you get a proposal, that doesn't mean you're not going to have to pay your funding fee. You actually have to have the disability approved. But again, retroactively, you can go back and you can get that funding fee replaced. Now, It is so important that you work with an expert and somebody that's passionate about serving veterans. The VA loan is the most flexible mortgage product on the market today. It is designed for the loan officer and for the underwriter to do everything in their power to try to help the veteran get into a home, to stabilize their family, fix their housing costs, and help build generational wealth. It's a benefit that you earned by serving in the military. Whether you served overseas or you were employed in the armed forces, in any capacity, that makes you eligible for the VA loan. It's so important that you work with a mortgage professional because, again, if you're applying for a loan and the veteran and you do not have an exempt status, and the loan officer isn't talking to you about the things that I'm talking to you about here to try to get you into an exempt status, that's the cost of working with an inexperienced loan officer. So an experienced mortgage professional that's passionate about helping veterans is going to reference the underwriting guidelines. They're going to contact the regional loan center on the VA, and they're going to research all of your options. They're not going to easily say no. It's never no when you're working with a professional. Worst case scenario is it's not now, and then we're going to put you on a roadmap so that you can be eligible, so that you can qualify. So if you're talking to somebody and they're not having this conversation with you, there's two ways that I can connect you with a loan officer that's passionate about helping veterans that I know, like, and trust. You can either go to findmywayhome.com, and you can find an expert near you. There's a search by state directory. There's also it'll display loan officers that are located near you, or you can simply click on the link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'm happy to introduce you to somebody that I know, like, and trust, licensed in your area. And I recommend you have a conversation with somebody from Find My Way Home, just so that you have that perspective of somebody who's a professional, who's passionate about about helping veterans, compared to maybe some of these call centers that are out there. So I think this is a really, really important product, and this is a really, really important update. So if you think that you may be eligible to be exempt from the funding fee, you absolutely should research it. It's going to save you thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. So thank you for your service. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this is helpful, and we'll see you next time.